Cool. I'll let you guys go ahead. Okay, I'll let you guys go ahead. I can just go off screen.
Yeah,
I'll just close my video as well so that I don't interfere with your discussion. Yeah, so
and
Ray, feel free to ask any question for Frank.
yeah, Grace, maybe I'll start by introducing myself, and then if you can tell me a little bit about yourself as well. But my history is that going back to my high school days, I was interested in, I was taking AP classes, math AP, uh, Latin AP, because we studied Latin in my high school, as well as art AP. And thinking about what I wanted to do at the time, I had parents and other influences sort of saying, "Oh, well, you should do something like engineering because that's a more sort of steady career path." And so I didn't go right into art school. I went to school for engineering. But then I realized, I wasn't happy. That wasn't really what I felt like was my calling, and I didn't want to graduate and pay back the loans and deal with, that career path. So I switched gears in school after a few years in engineering and went to Massachusetts College of Art and Design. And I had also been a musician growing up. And so I went into the film program because that was like a nice, I could make music for film and things like that and sort of fulfill what I thought was a creative calling. And then once I got into the film department, I never looked back in terms of film, making films, um, and enjoying film video and that creative outlet. So then I graduated with a film degree, and it was right at a good time when uh, editing was uh, going online with computers. Um, like if you know about Final Cut and editing software, Final Cut Pro, the editing software used to be expensive, and post production houses, companies would have it, and then it started to get better and better on your home computer. So this is a long time ago, when I was graduating from high school, but that was the land or college, but that was the landscape back then. And Adobe Premiere and Final Cut Pro, people were editing on that, and I was good at that. So that's what I ended up getting a job in as an editor, first for an advertising agency for a year, and then for Sundance TV, which is a channel showing independent films. And and then I migrated one more time into working in academic institutions because having that skill set and having that experience, people need staff support to keep their studios running and things like that. You know, Knowing the equipment, being able to show the equipment, cameras and things like that. And so that's the field that I work in right now. I'm working for Stanford in their department, taking care of their technology. So I've really utilized that double thing of having the technical expertise and background and skill, as well as the art and creative side of things. And I've been doing this, for a long time now. And I'm very happy. Like I really feel like I landed in the right career path for me. And so where are you? Can you tell me about yourself?
Um, I'm currently a senior right now, and after high school, I plan to attend a 4-year university or college. To explore to navigate like a career in arts because I also love art and I've wanted to become an artist ever since I was little. So that's kind of what I've been planning to do ever since then. I don't think I really have like a plan B or I haven't really considered what I want to do if me trying to find a career in art doesn't work out. It's kind of only what I have.
Yeah, I don't think you need a plan B. I mean, it's okay to focus on that, and there hopefully will be a lot of opportunities. The plan B may be would be like if you're an illustrator, you know, are you working for yourself more? Are you working for a company? Are you working for a big company or a small company? Are you working, you know, in medicine or some field that you didn't know before? Or are you working in fashion or, you know, other things will draw you, I think, and I think the path will open up for you. What exactly do you like about when you say you want to be an artist? Is it, you know, painting, drawing?
I feel like for me, it's more of the drawing aspect because when I draw, it just gives me more creative freedom to like. It gives me my more creative freedom to do what I want to do and allows me to like express how I want to feel. Also, it's also a fun hobby to do. Yeah,
Yeah. And
it's just something that's easygoing for me.
and what tools are you using? Like when you draw, is it pencil and paper? Is it you know, pen and ink? Is it computer? You know, like some
Um,
computer influence?
Digital drawing is something that I've been learning to do. I'm not really good at it. I can't say that, but it's something I'm also interested to do. But it's mainly like, you know, good old fashioned pencil and paper for me, like a
Yeah.
sketching type thing.
And I mean, that's what my school, when I applied, you know, it is a 4-year university. You know, what I was actually applying as a transfer student, but I back in the day, you had, and I think it's still true, you have to submit a portfolio of your artwork because they're not as intensely looking at your grades, but they're as well. And I don't know if you're still there. I saw your video, but I'll keep going and I can recap. Um,
Yeah, sorry,
they,
I just had to do something.
yeah, no problem. The yeah, the portfolio, you submit a portfolio, and a lot of times that submission is digital now, but you maybe do 3 works or maybe up to 10 or 15 even. And when I was applying to the school that I applied to, they categorized it. You could submit a drawing portfolio specifically, or you could submit a wider portfolio, like say if you're a photographer or if you were interested, you know, in filmmaking. But I actually submitted a drawing portfolio because, like I said, I had an art AP background. Um, what classes are you taking? Like how is drawing in your course load now? Is it, are you taking classes outside of high school, or you know, what's your experience in terms of the drawing that you have now?
Um, I'd be interested in taking classes outside of high school, but for now, I just feel like mainly taking classes inside of high school is like more
Yeah.
easier for
Are
me.
they general art classes, and how long have you taken them? Like, you know, like did you take it as a junior? Did you take it as a sophomore and a junior?
I couldn't take it.
Oh yeah.
I can like take it for like the first 3 years, so I I'm only taking it my senior year, which is crazy because
Yeah.
I had to take like another class that I was required to do, so I didn't really have that option, even
Mhm.
though I wanted to.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I mean, I think that would maybe be my first piece of like sort of advice, is to just keep producing work. You know, like if you say you like it, I'm assuming that, do you have notebooks, or do you have, you know, um, like the artworks that you're making? Save all of it, because uh, and then maybe when that application point comes and you're um, you know, submitting the portfolio for an application, you can get some guidance and advice, and sort of put everything out and say, hey, what do you think is the strongest pieces? Sometimes what you'll want to do is show that you can do a lot. So it might not be the 3 sort of best things that are in the same category, but it might be like, you know, one small detailed work, one larger work, or something like that, you know. So it's good to get help, I think, making that decision. So I think just keep doing the work and keep saving all of that for your portfolio, because I think most art schools will want to see the work that you're producing. What type of stuff do you like to draw? Like, are you drawing from pictures or memory or live things? You know, like what's your process like?
Um, so I haven't really drawn that much
Okay.
things. Mainly people, I'd say.
Uh-huh.
People are like more of my thing. I've always kind of wanted to draw different people, but I can draw different things too. I mean, it's not just like I have to be limited to one thing. I can always like
Yeah.
go to other things too.
Are you drawing in class? Like, like if you have a study break or,
Oh yeah, I always take the opportunity to like doodle a little bit if I can.
Yeah, yeah. And when you said you're starting to get into digital tools, have you started that yet? Like what, and do you have a computer to do that with, or like an iPad, or like what digital tools do you have access to?
I don't have an iPad or like a pen or like a digital pencil or anything. I just have like a sketchbook and a few
Mhm.
um like a few pencils, like utensils. I also have like a drawing pencil that I got. So that's another thing. Like those type of pencils that like help you like draw more better.
Is it the kind that has the lead that like sort of comes out the more you click it, or like
Oh,
what is?
it's just like a Bolton like you I can show you.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'll be right back.
Okay. It's okay too if you can't find it.
All right, so I found it. So all you yeah, it's those type of lead where you can just like screw it in, and then
Yeah.
I have like I think 11 or 12 of these. It's not like skinny lead. It's just like
Yeah.
a type of pencil lead, and also has comes with the eraser too inside.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I asked because I'm just curious of what you have to just get a more sense of, what your practice is like. But I think it's important to emphasize that, being an artist and having a career as an artist is much less about the tools and more about you. People fixate on, oh, well, I have, the latest iPad, or I have the pencil, the Apple Pencil or something like that. Um, but those are kind of, I think, like fads that come and go, like fashion. It's like a trend of the moment, or it's a skill that's very, um, you know, uh, I don't want to say narrow, but I can't think of another better word. But like it's not a broad skill that will help you in every career path. it's more like a specific thing. Like if you're working, as a digital content designer, then that that could be very helpful. But and there are also skills that you can learn, and I think that's another thing. I was going to suggest that if you um, are interested and have free time, there's so many resources like through YouTube or through other online sort of training thing, hopefully all for free. But you could spend free time also, just getting exposure to almost like classes. It doesn't have to be as assignment based. You might start something and say, oh, well, I'll switch gears and look for something else, but find some things that you like that people are talking about, and then, get I think as much drawing time in this next year, or as you approach the application, um, deadline. Um, have you thought about, you said you wanted to be in a 4-year institution,
Yeah.
and have you researched any of them? Like, I'm wondering, like, what made you think that? Like, are there some that you like, or you just like the idea of really diving into art school, and being focused on art?
Um, I don't have a straight answer for that, but I really am focused in art, and I
Yeah.
really do want to get to know more about it. So I figured that getting into an art school would be my best chance at learning what it's like to become an artist, and how can I go in the right direction of doing that.
Yeah. And I could also say too, another thing is to maximize like the contacts that you have. So did you say you're going to take an art class this year? That's part of the high school curriculum, or is there a drawing class or an art class offered? Do you know your classes yet for this fall?
Um, I chose the classes that I've wanted to take. So far, it's like 2 AP classes, and the rest of them are just regular.
Uh-huh.
Um, One elective, if I can remember it, it's AP Literature and Pre-Calc, and then there's leadership class, and then there's Gov and Econ, and the art class I'm gonna take, and I think that's it. I'm only gonna take 5 classes this year. So.
Mhm. And how much free time do you think you'll have in the schedule? Like, do you think it'll be a lot of work, or do you think you'll have time to do things like maybe look at YouTube videos for, drawing, etc.?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Like, will you have some free time, or do you think you'll be very busy? Because sometimes people have a job
Oh,
and things like that.
with with the classes that I'll be taking, I can guarantee that I'll probably be a little bit busy at times, but I can always take advantage of any free time that I have.
Yeah. And I think you're on the right path with doodling and things, like art. Uh, there's a good, I really feel like I was lucky myself growing up with a musical background, because for me, music gave me that approach to an artistic practice. Like I was used to having a weekly lesson. So even if I didn't practice every day, I knew that there was like a milestone that, I would have to show progress each week. And that's something that I've used in my artistic approach, like when I'm painting, when I'm studying art, or even after college, when I'm still making art, I still kind of like try to challenge myself. Hey, did the week go by and did I not do anything creatively? And if I didn't, you know, try to shift your time a little bit, sit down and spend some time on it. Because for me, even just making art is rewarding, even if it's not my job. Like you'll probably find that it's almost like a part of who you are, you know. So you might have a job where you're making, logos or designing, uh, you know, uh, t-shirt patterns, fabric patterns, or something that sort of pays the bills that you're interested in and you like. Um, but then you're still, doodling and doing other artistic outlet activities. Um, and when do you know when applications are due? Uh, like do you have anyone talking that you're talking to in terms of
Oh,
guidance counselors and things like that?
I was told not to worry too much about like starting to submit applications for college, but I feel like since the school year is about to start, I feel like I really do kind of need to take this seriously. But yeah, I don't know when applications are due for the universities that I do mind to applying to.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I definitely think that I agree that you don't really have to worry. Like you have plenty of time. Um, I just know that the first thing that you might want to do is research, like just look at colleges that fit within that offer what you want. So if you and I should say this, like, to sort of backtrack, I'm not going to really give you um, guidance counselor like advice. You know, I I can definitely tell you about my experience, but it's up to you, I think, to decide. But I would encourage you to gather as much information so I can try to help with all that information. And one of those pieces is I went to an art school that was what's called a freestanding school. Mass College of Art is just art. Rhode Island School of Design is just art. Savannah College of Art and Design. These are all schools that are 4-year schools that they only teach art. There are other schools, like Stanford is one, that have an art program and have art majors within a bigger university. So I think it's beneficial to um, look at all of those and maybe even, you know, have a lot of diversity in your application process. Like if you're thinking about applying to 6 schools or 8 schools or whatever the number is, you know, don't have 8 4-year art standing schools only, because you might want, like, that you might get into 4 and then you visit them all and then you realize what you want down the road. So it's not a decision that you have to make now, and adding diversity, I think, is the most important thing to think about now. And in doing that research, I think, is a good first step. It's an easy Google search, art program. If it's in a school, it would be the art program. How does that sound? And do you know where you would want to go geographically? Like, have you thought about that? Places?
Um, I mean, I've been thinking about going out of state, but my mom, she gets really worried and she wants me like really close to the area as possible. But sorry, but I do feel like I kind of want to expand myself a little bit and like go places where I haven't been before. So, um, yeah, so I've been thinking about like going to like maybe different cities in California or maybe even out of state, somewhere like mm, New York.
Well, that's quite a bit out of state.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
really far. It's like half across the country. I don't think my mom's ever gonna be happy about that. But
yeah, yeah. Well, it's an important step. It's an important milestone, and I think it's a family decision. Um, And I think, I mean, this is getting off the topic of art a little bit, but I do think the reason why I bring that up is to say that there are art schools at every level. Like there are art programs, like I said, within bigger schools. Um, I do think uh, you want to be careful, you know, like you want to research the art school. And another thing that I'll say is that in a big way, your skills and what you get out of it is the most important thing. I think a lot of times people rely on the degree and the name and the institution, but I think most schools have a good career networking office. And so after the 4 years, you know, as long as the school, um, you know, has that and offers that to you, then you'll find your career path. Um,
Mm.
you know, so like I said, don't I would suggest that you don't set one type of school in mind. You know, have a bunch of different schools that you apply to. You could apply to some in-state schools and some state schools. You know, like um, the California, you know, UC system or state university system. You could apply to. I'm trying to think of the sort of like famous art programs in California. Um, I know USC obviously has a good one in many different disciplines. But for drawing specifically, I would have to look that up. But you, like I said, you have plenty of time, and I can help you with that too. Like that's not hard to find out. Like you know, rankings and things like that, and looking at other students, what they say about it, reviews. Um, and there are places I think near. You know, you could start in state and then branch out. Portland, Oregon, is one obvious place. Um, you know, Seattle, Boulder, Colorado is another place. These are places that are not as far away as New York, but have good art programs. Um, have you thought about uh, like what you would want in terms of like environment or like big city versus small, anything like that?
Um,
It's okay
mm,
if you haven't, because that's yeah.
you
I
know
think
what? I kind of, I don't know why, but I kind of prefer the big city. I know it's like more nosy, but I don't know. I just can't explain it. I feel like the big city is more aesthetically pleasing to me.
yeah, yeah. I think all of that I think is in keeping with the conversation with your parents and stuff like that. Um, you know, where you where you go, it's like some people have their hearts set on far away. Some people have their hearts set on being close because, you know, there are advantages to being close, like, you know, having the parents to, you know, help out with laundry or like, you know, cleaning or food bills and things like that. Um, it's nice to come home to a home cooked meal. I can say from experience. Um, you know, and maybe you have friends, like a friend group that's easier to see because several of you stayed closer to home.
Sorry, you're
Versus,
gonna have to excuse me real quick.
okay,
Uh-uh. Otto, do you know where the charger is? It's gonna die. Okay. Hold on.
Oh, are you back, Chris?
Where is it? Oh my goodness! Can't you see it's All right. Sorry about that.
That's
I'm
okay.
back.
That's okay. Um, yeah, I think we were just talking about like where to go, and it's the same piece of advice. Like, I think at this stage and through this year of application, my big piece of advice is to keep your options open. Like, um, you know, have a broad range of schools that you're thinking about, from, you know, if you like the urban environment, sure, you can limit it to that, but maybe pick one that is a smaller school, because you never know, you could visit it, and then, once you find out where you got in, then you make the decision on where you'd like to go. But 6 or 7 out of 8 big cities, that's totally fine. And what about you? Do you have any questions, like, yourself? Like, have you been thinking about things, or stuff that you're unsure about? What do you feel about this process of the next year?
Process of next year.
Yeah, in applying to schools and things like that. Like,
Um, I just feel like maybe it'll be a little bit overbearing because of all these places that I have to apply to, and if I don't get into one, then I have to apply to another. If I don't get into that one, I feel like maybe it's just going to be like I'm gonna be like in circles or something. I don't know if that makes sense.
yeah, well, to that I could say, I mean, I could tell you about the process. I have a goddaughter, who, I have a her and her brother I have talked through this process with. And um, what you do is, a lot of times you can submit one application, a common application. So you can then pick different schools that you apply to. Like, have you talked to people about the actual application process yet?
No, but I feel like when it comes close to the school year, I will talk to somebody, maybe like my a college counselor or my my guy, my assigned counselor, or just somebody.
Yeah, yeah. So I would agree with sort of what we said before, is you don't have to worry about that now. And I think it's going to be challenging, just because it's more assignment, like you write an essay, or you have to pick a topic for the essay. But it, I wouldn't say you should worry about it. Like, I don't think it'll be too hard or anything like that, because, you know, you just speak from the heart. You just put the time and effort into it, and then you see what comes out of it. But you usually can do that one, big application, and pick a lot of schools that you want to see that. Um, and then so it's not like you have to do 8 times the work. You really just do maybe a little bit extra work for each one, because they have one more question that's different. But it's usually not that hard to apply to 2 schools versus 6 schools versus 10 schools. And it's usually all at the same time. close around the same.
It's not. Mhm.
So yeah, I was asking you like if you had any questions, like what about getting really back to art? Like are there any artists in your life that you have? Like how did you get to pick that you wanted to be an artist?
Um, I
Because you
don't.
said you're taking AP classes and things like that, so it sounds like you have skills and strengths in other areas like math, but why an art career over a math career?
An art career? Why an art career over something like in math?
Yeah, or language, I think you said was another thing that you were taking.
Oh,
Like, are you good at it, but you don't really like it? Or
art is something that I can easily get into. Something like math or science, it just takes harder for me to think because I am a slow learner. But for art, it feels like it has. You can start at whatever pace that you want, and it's okay for you to like keep learning and learning until like you get the hang of it, and that's a pace that I perfectly that I think that's it's kind of perfect for me, to be honest. And I feel
yeah,
like that's how you can like sum up art. You don't have to go too fast or go too slow. You can just go at the speed that you want to go, and there's no rush. Like a lot of I know that a lot of great artists also have learned late or way too early, and they're exactly at the place that they're at right now. And that's just me. That's just that's just what I want to be.
yeah, you feel like you identify with all of that, and you identify with artists.
Yeah.
Well, that would be another thing I would say you could research. You could research the schools, and like you said, you don't have to do that soon. I'm just thinking more like first steps, even if that
Mhm.
first step is in September or October when you're back in school and you have your guidance counselor. Um, but uh, thinking about people who are artists, I'm one person who got an art degree, and I'm working in using my art degree in my current job. But there are many, many, many different versions of that. And there are also a lot of people who get an art degree and they work in a field that's different from what their major was. So it is a lot like what you said, where you keep learning, and um, I mean, I think many careers are like that, but I think art is often like that, which is fun. I mean, I like that challenge. I like that. Um, I like the new things. I like learning new things. So if you like learning new things, then art is a great career path, I think.
I like learning new things too, but it's like it's it's just consuming for me. Like
Like,
I just get easily tired out and frustrated. So learning new things, like it takes a while. It takes a while to like learn a new things. So
mhm. And how do you feel that happens? Like, do you mean like the lessons, like, or language, like the lectures? Because I don't mean it in that way. And you know, like, are you
um
are you saying that
so
you?
like in
Yeah.
the language area um I have short term memory, so when I'm like told to like speak a sentence or something in like a completely different language, it's like difficult for me because I could like forget the words or like how to like pronounce it correctly. So that's just my opinion on what learning a new like thing is, like a language or something.
Yeah. Well, another good thing, and I think maybe it's a good match for you with art, is that art is what they call very subjective. Like there's not really one correct answer that you're looking for. And that's a big difference from something like math. So I think our careers can be like that, where you're working with someone, you're making an illustration, and you know uh, you're just allowed that sort of creativity to make whatever you want and then present it to them, and then they hopefully like it, pay you for it, and then you move on to the next project. So if that sounds like a fun environment, I think that is a good thing. Um, and what about I was thinking of the timeline of like November is when are you a rising senior? That's what I meant to ask. Like, so you're going
Yeah.
into your senior year, yeah. Um, and if I were to say, I know you talked about a plan B, but if I were to say like, what besides art do you like? And let's say you had to sort of blend your career, if you were going to use art and something else, what would be your next thing that you at least have fun with or feel like you could do a lot of if you were doing it for a job? Is there anything else that you would, like to spend your day doing besides
Oh,
drawing?
you know what? I've actually wanted to explore gymnastics. I'm not the
Okay.
most flexible person in the world, but I just love gymnastics. Like doing those flips and doing those type of twirls and like hanging around the hanging around the bars. That's just kind of what I wanted to do. Um, but the lessons they didn't they weren't cheap, and I never really brought it up until later on. So yeah,
Well,
I
let
feel
me
like
just
I'm a little bit too older
If
for
I
me to
can
start now.
interrupt there a little bit, because yeah, personally, I mean, I was a lecturer teaching social work as well, so I do see a lot of students with all these conflicting sort of ideas. But it sounds to me what you might be interested in. I'm not saying that you are. I'm just making an educated guess from my experience. Is that you might want to look at something like sports science or exercise science or kinesiology, which relates to what you're interested, but not necessarily what you are good at executing. So I'm a badminton player and I also coach badminton. But what I find is better coach than I am a player. Do you get that? Do you see the similarity and the difference there? That you're still doing something that you like, but it's not the purely focusing on the execution itself. It's focusing on the transfer of knowledge from you to the other people. I mean, it's something for you to think about. You don't have to process it right away. Just throwing ideas out there since you brought it up.
Okay.
yeah, and I could even add too that like the hybrid of those two, like maybe there's a way that art and gymnastics cross over. So uh, there could be that, they need posters, they need advertising materials, they need things like that. So you're using the art, but you're in the gymnastics field.
That's
Um,
actually that's I didn't actually think about that. That's something really really interesting to do.
yeah, like the bottom line is uh, you want to end up in a career path that is rewarding for you. And, you know, uh, school is very much focused around getting skills and helping you figure out what you like to do, what you're strong at doing. And then having a portfolio to show the world, hey, I can do this. So then they're like, okay, well, we'll hire Grace because, she's got that experience. But yeah, the thing I wanted to just say is that there are often ways to bridge the gaps. So I agree that there's sports medicine careers, and if you like that, that's definitely something like you don't want to close any doors at this stage in your life. You want to try to gather as much information and open as many doors so that you can pick the one that you want to walk through. So going to a school that maybe has a good sports program, a good gymnastics program, and a good art program might be something that you think about because you have both of those interests. Um,
Yeah, I'll definitely think about that. Thanks for putting that out there. I got a whole new perspective that I didn't get. I didn't really think about that much.
yeah, and think about other things that you like too. It's kind of like that's what I think this phase in your life is about. Is you know, if 4 years from now you might realize that you are in a place and getting a degree that you didn't really know firmly you wanted at this point in your life. But it's because, like you said, if you go to a school in a big city, or if you go to a large school, or if like you'll have the room in your life, I think, to figure that out and maybe pick those things and get closer and closer to that. Oh, this is really what I like now. It's not a decision that you have to make tomorrow or anytime super soon, but it's good to keep your eyes open and ask yourself those questions. So, so I think we're close to winding down. But again, like what is on your mind at this point?
I just curious to know, what's it like running the art lab at Stanford? And another question, is it possible for someone like me with like my GPA? It's not a 4.0, but do you think I might possibly have a chance to like get into Stanford for like the art program stuff?
Well, that's where I was saying, like guidance counsel wise, they can help you out with that. I don't work in admissions, so I
Mm.
really don't know what they're looking for. I do know that you shouldn't, again, like with their guidance, they'll probably say, you know, yes, let's apply and let's help you make the strongest application possible. Because oftentimes it's really not just the GPA. You know, I didn't ask you your GPA on purpose because I felt like this first session I really wanted to get to know you outside the GPA. And art is very much one of those um, one of those career paths, even starting from college applications. Stanford might be fairly selective, but um, having a strong art portfolio is probably, you know, more heavily weighted than the GPA. You just sort of have to show that you can take college level classes, like English, like government, or some electives. But if you're taking a language AP class, that's what the advanced placement is all about. You're hoping to get college credit. It's a it's an advanced class. So I think you could handle the workload. The bigger thing is, getting art practice in. They call it practice because the art is much as really about time, spending time doing it. Um, a lot of people can do their math homework in 15 minutes, and for some people, it takes 2 or 3 hours to do the same homework. Uh, Art, it usually takes everyone the same amount of time, just because it's not about you're good and you do it quickly. It's just that it's about practicing it and doing it more and more and getting better and better. Um, and as far as the work that I do, I run
Yeah.
certain spaces, like we have a recording studio because again, I have that music background. Um, we also have, uh, I'm in charge of the equipment checkout software. So I basically, I keep the department technical systems running. And so it's sort of like a job where I juggle a lot. I do a lot week to week. I also help out faculty and help out students. So I like that because I like that variety. Um, but that's what I do like day to day.
So it's been really nice getting to know you and just to hear what I have just to hear like what I have in store and yeah you've gave me sorry just trying to process. You showed me a lot of things today, and like now that I think about it, I think that I'm a little less tense now, and I think it's time for me to like put myself out there. I mean,
Yeah,
like for college stuff.
and I definitely think what people are going to recognize in terms of a good candidate is your work. Like when they look at, even the doodles, even if you have a notebook, make sure you save all of that stuff. Um, and because sometimes even like showing progress is important. So, showing how this is how I started in September of 2024, but this is where I am in March of 2025. That might be uh, one of your strengths. So just try to do as much of it as you can in terms of creating and drawing. And I think you'll have a good foot in getting into an art school. So yeah, we're coming down to the close.
Mhm.
Um, I didn't know if we're meeting. Is there a time that we have to meet again? Or I mean, I'm happy to share my email or something like that if you had more questions. I'm unfamiliar with the structure of how this session, in this program, the Reach program goes. So uh,
So I think for the time, just to answer your question, Frank, for
yeah,
the time being, this session is really what it's meant to do, which is to give more insight into what an art degree can open doors to in terms of career opportunities, and also, as you have mentioned, quite in depth, which is the choosing a college, the process of choosing to go into the college. Um, Grace will be assigned a mentor who work with her on the college application process, and also to help her through the selection process. But that would only begin once she gets into the senior year. So in a month's time, I imagine
I think. Yeah,
she'll at that. But I mean, it's good to hear from Grace that she thinks this has been helpful, and much thanks to Frank for taking the time
yeah,
to have this meeting and share his experience with everybody. And I learned quite a fair bit as well. So that's also good
yeah.
for me to know.
And I will say, Grace, I'll end with I'm really happy that I got my degree in art. Like I said, I had to find that path, and like everyone has their own path. And maybe if I started out in art, I might not have been as successful. But I ended up in art. I graduated, and I've used that degree in my jobs ever since. And I definitely think if that's your calling, then you know, I would encourage you to follow it. But I would also say keep your eyes open because it also does sound like you have other interests too. And, maybe you bridge them, maybe you migrate a little bit, but you're in a good place right now. And I'd say keep moving forward.
Uh, Thank you. I hope I feel the same way too. My parents, I don't mean to like be insensitive or anything, but my parents they do like support me to explore a career in art. They just want me to do like whatever makes me happy, and the happiest that they'll get is me just going to college and just making like my family proud and stuff. So like I hope I do. So like I do hope I end up with a smooth path, and I do hope that I also end up with a degree in art, just like you, and I find a job that I'm happier with.
Yeah. Well, I hope to be one of the people cheering you on at graduation.
All right. I think in terms of time, that's we are also coming to the end of our session today. So I'll be the person who you can reach out to, Grace, if you have any question, and I'll bring your concern or any issues that you might have to the other colleagues at the Reach Foundation, and we will try to support you to the best of our ability. And if needed, we might
Okay.
bring Frank on board again to help you out and give you a little bit more insights into what you intend to do. Sounds good?
Okay.
Okay. Great.
Right.
Great meeting you, Grace.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank you. Bye bye.
thanks
Take,
everybody for
take
your
care.
time, and yeah, have a good evening. Bye
Yeah.
for now.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye, Frank.
Yes. Thank you. Take care.